The late afternoon sun had already begun to sink when Malik Turner lifted the lid of his portable food cart, letting a wave of peppery steam drift into the street. The scent usually drew people in, construction workers, office staff, parents walking home, but today the sidewalk felt unnaturally still, as if the city were holding its breath. A police cruiser rolled up. Too fast. Too close. Malik's pulse flickered. Officer Grant Harlow stepped out, boots hitting pavement with a hard, deliberate thud. His hand rested carelessly on his belt, not on the gun, but close enough. "You've got a permit for this operation?" he asked, scanning Malik as if he were measuring something already decided. Malik inhaled. "Steady." "Yes, sir. It's in the folder." Grant cut him off with a laugh sharp enough to draw stares. "Uh-huh. I'm sure you do. Let's see what story you got today." A woman nearby whispered. "Just leave him alone." Grant glared at her until she stepped back. Malik reached slowly for his bag. His fingers trembled, though he fought to keep them still. Grant's voice dropped, low and contemptuous. "People like you always find a way to bend rules." The words hit Malik like a shove. Heat rose in his chest, shame, anger, fear braided together. Around him, traffic hummed. A siren wailed in the distance, and Grant's shadow fell long across the cart, swallowing the warm light. Then Grant's radio crackled, 3 urgent beeps, and his expression changed. It wasn't confusion. It was recognition. The hook ends here, unresolved. Malik Turner wiped his palms on his apron, though they weren't sweaty. It was just a habit, something to anchor himself when the city felt too loud, too tense, too unpredictable. Today had been steady. People smiled when they tasted his stew. A few regulars joked with him. A child tugged her mother's sleeve and whispered, "The nice man with the spicy chicken is here." For a moment, Malik let himself feel light. But everything shifted when the police cruiser screeched against the curb. Grant Harlow stepped out like a man entering property he already owned. "Afternoon," he said, but the word carried no warmth. "You with the cart. Come here." Malik looked up. "Is something wrong, officer?" "Didn't ask you a question," Grant snapped. "I said come here." A couple nearby slowed their walk, sensing the tension. Malik forced his voice into something steady. "I'm here, sir." "What seems to be the issue?" Grant scanned the food cart, then Malik's face, then the small crowd forming. "Selling food in the city requires permits." "Got any?" "Yes," Malik said immediately. "Right here in my—" Grant barked a laugh. "Sure. Let's see if they're real." Malik reached into his bag, slowly, movements measured. "They are—" "That what you all say," Grant muttered. A man in a business suit stepped forward, cautiously. "Officer, he's been here for months. He's never caused—" Grant shot him a glare sharp enough to slice. "Did I ask for commentary?" The man stepped back. Malik swallowed. He handed over the laminated permit, hoping the moment would pass quickly. Grant didn't even look at it. He tossed it onto the cart, letting it slide dangerously close to the burner flame. Looks printed at home." "It's not," Malik said. "You can scan—" "Open your cart," Grant ordered. Malik blinked. "My cart? Sir, that's food. People are—" "Open it." A woman in line whispered, "This isn't right." Grant's head turned. "Something to add?" She froze, shaking her head. Malik's chest tightened. Every instinct told him to keep calm, to keep breathing, to keep his hands visible. "Officer, I'm in full compliance with the law. You can confirm with the—" "Don't tell me how to do my job." Grant cut in. "Open the cart or I'll cite you for obstruction." The burner crackled beneath the pot. The street smelled of cumin, garlic, and hot pavement. Malik lifted the lid, steam rising like a soft cloud between them. Grant leaned in, eyes narrowed. "What's this? Chicken? Beef? Stew?" Malik answered quietly. "Family recipe." Grant hummed like the answer offended him. "You got hygiene inspections?" Malik's jaw clenched. "Yes, sir." Same folder. Grant gestured at the cart. "Dump it." Malik's breath caught. "Dump the stew?" "You heard me." People murmured. A father pulled his daughter closer, as if shielding her from the unfolding injustice. Malik glanced around, not for rescue, just for confirmation that he wasn't imagining the cruelty. "Officer," he said carefully, "this food is safe. My paperwork is valid. If you review—" Grant stepped closer, chest puff, voice dropping into something poisonous. "People like you always find a way around the rules." The words stung sharper than the heat radiating from the stove. Malik steadied himself. "People like me? Sir, I'm just trying to—" Grant grabbed his wrist, not violently, but firmly enough to send a jolt through Malik's bones. "You're done for the day." "That's not fair," someone whispered. Grant ignored it. He twisted Malik's arm behind him. Not quite a restraint, not quite an arrest, just humiliation shaped into a gesture. Malik winced. "Please, my equipment, my customers. You're operating without proper documentation. I'm shutting this down." "That's not true," Malik said, voice rising in desperation. "My permits are right there. Why won't you just look?" Grant leaned in, breath cold against Malik's ear. "Because I don't feel like being lied to today." The line cut Malik deep in the grip on his arm. He stared at the pavement, the cracks filled with dust and old gum. His stew simmered behind him. The smell now twisted into something painful. "Officer," Malik said softly, "I've done nothing wrong." Grant shoved him toward the cruiser. "We'll let the station sort that out." A murmur of outrage moved through the small crowd, but no one stepped forward. Not fully. Not enough. Fear won. As Malik was pushed into the back seat, he looked through the window at his abandoned cart, stew bubbling unattended. Grant slammed the door. Malik flinched. The cruiser pulled away, siren silent but authority loud enough to drown the street. His heart thudded. His throat tightened. His hands shook. This wasn't about permits. It was about power. And Malik knew, as the precinct came into view, that the worst part wasn't the arrest. It was a certainty in Grant's eyes, the quiet promise that this was far from over. Malik sat on a hard plastic bench of the precinct intake room, wrists aching where the cuffs had been moments before. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, washing everything in a flat, lifeless glow. A metal door clanged shut somewhere deep in the station, echoing through the sterile hallways. A booking officer approached without looking up from his tablet. "Name?" "Malik Turner." He replied carefully. "Occupation?" Malik hesitated. "Food service." The officer paused, gave him a once-over, then typed something without further questions. "You were brought in for operating without a permit." "That's not correct," Malik said. "My permit is valid." The officer refused to. "Sir," the booking officer interrupted. Tone already bored. "You can explain that during processing. For now, I just need you to answer what's on the form." Malik exhaled, shoulders drooping. "Understood." Another officer walked by, glancing into the intake room. "Harlow brought him in," he asked. "Yeah," the booking officer muttered. "Says it's a paperwork violation." The second officer smirked. "Harlow and his paperwork violations. Man lives for that crap." Malik looked up sharply. "Excuse me. Can I speak to someone about what happened?" "Officer Harlow." The smirk faded. "Not my department, sir." A door buzzed. Malik was led into a smaller holding room. No beds, no windows, just a bench and a faint smell of disinfectant. The officer closed the door behind him with a practiced click. "Can I make a phone call?" Malik asked through the small opening. "In due time," the officer replied, not unkindly but with the finality of routine. Malik leaned his head back against the wall. The injustice pressed against his ribs like a weight. He had done everything right. Every form meticulously filed, every inspection passed, every safety measure followed. Yet here he was, treated like an inconvenience rather than a citizen. A soft shuffle sounded by the door. Someone was sweeping outside. A voice whispered, "You the food cart man?" Malik turned. Through the small window in the door, he saw the custodian, an older black man with graying beard and weary eyes. "Yes," Malik said quietly. "They brought me in for something I didn't do." The custodian sighed. "Figures it was Harlow. Man's got a pattern." "What kind of pattern?" "Ain't my place to say too much," the custodian murmured. checking over his shoulder. But you ain't the first. Man likes making examples of folks who look like you. Pulls people in on small things. Things that don't stick. Malik's stomach twisted. Why doesn't anyone stop him? The custodian pressed his lips together. Because the system protects its own. You push too hard. They push back harder. I've seen it for years. Malik felt a tremor run through him. I just want to make my living. I'm not bothering anyone. You shouldn't have to explain that, the custodian replied gently. But here you do. Footsteps approached. The custodian quickly moved his cart away, pretending he'd never spoken. The door opened. Another officer entered, clipboard in hand. Turner, you can make one phone call. Malik stood. Thank you. The officer led him to the phone. Malik dialed his lawyer, Daniel Reeves, hands trembling. Daniel speaking. The voice answered. Daniel, it's Malik. A pause. Malik? Where are you? You were supposed to meet Aisha an hour ago. I'm at the precinct. They arrested me. Another beat of silence. Sharp, heavy. Arrested? For what? Operating without a permit. They said my documents were fake. Fake? Daniel repeated. Your permits were filed through my firm, Malik. They're as authentic as they come. I know, Malik whispered, but the officer wouldn't even look at them. Daniel's tone hardened. Who was the officer? Harlow. Grant Harlow. A long exhale hissed through the phone. He's been on my radar before. This is serious. I'm on my way. They cannot hold you without cause. Malik swallowed. I don't think cause matters to them. It will, Daniel said, because I'll make it matter. The officer tapped his wrist. Time's up. Daniel, Malik said quickly, please hurry. I'm coming now, Daniel replied. The call ended. Malik's pulse hammered in his ears as he was escorted back to the holding room. Minutes stretched into something shapeless. Voices drifted from the hallway. Laughter, footsteps, doors slamming, but no one came for him. The injustice gnawed at him, sour and raw. Finally, the door opened. Officer Harlow stood there. Well, Grant said, leaning against a frame with casual arrogance, your lawyer's making noise out there. Malik lifted his chin. Because I didn't do anything wrong. Grant smirked. Everybody says that. You didn't even check my paperwork. I didn't have to, Grant replied. Things looked off. When things look off, I act. That's my job. Malik stared at him. No, your job is to enforce the law fairly. Grant chuckled. Fair? You try and tell me how fairness works. I'm telling you what's right. Grant's eyes narrowed slightly, as if surprised Malik had a voice at all. You vendors always think you're being targeted. I was, Malik whispered, and you know it. Grant stepped closer, lowering his voice. Careful. You keep talking like that, I'll find something real to book you for. Malik felt heat rise in his chest, but he held steady. I have nothing to hide. Funny, Grant said, tapping the doorframe. That's what people hide behind. Before Malik could answer, Daniel appeared behind Grant, sharp suit and sharper glare. That's enough, Daniel said. My client is leaving. Grant straightened reluctantly. He hasn't been processed yet. Yes, he has, Daniel replied, holding up a stack of papers. And so have your complaints. Grant's jaw twitched. Daniel stepped inside. Malik, let's go. As they walked out, Malik could feel Grant stare, a cold, simmering promise. This wouldn't be the end. It was only the beginning. Malik sat in Daniel's car, staring out the window as the city blurred past. Streetlights smearing into yellow streaks, pedestrians dissolving into shifting silhouettes. He felt hollow, as if the arrest had scooped something vital out of him. His hands rested in his lap, fingers still trembling despite his efforts to steady them. You okay? Daniel asked gently. No, Malik admitted, but I'm upright. That's something. Daniel tightened his grip on the wheel. I've already filed a preliminary misconduct report. Harlow won't walk away from this one. Malik exhaled. Maybe, but men like him, they don't fall easily. A notification pinged from Daniel's phone in the cup holder. Then another, and another. Daniel glanced at the screen. Oh no, Malik, someone recorded the arrest. Malik's heart plummeted. Recorded? Yeah, it's online, and spreading fast. By the time Malik reached home, his phone was vibrating nonstop. Dozens of missed calls, texts, voice messages. He sank onto his couch and opened one of the links a friend sent. A video played. Grant laughing. Grant tossing the permit aside. Grant's voice, sharp and disdainful. People like you always find a way around the rules. Malik flinched. The comments beneath the video were already thousands deep. This is disgusting. Fire him. Vendor did nothing wrong. But there were others. Bet the permit was fake. He should have cooperated. Typical. Playing the victim. Malik closed the phone. His heart felt heavy enough to crack. The next morning, Aisha practically burst into his office at Turner Kitchen's headquarters, her eyes wide with worry. Only she knew the truth, that Malik wasn't just a vendor, but the founder and majority owner of the entire restaurant group. "Oh my God, Malik," she cried. "Why didn't you call me yesterday?" "We were all terrified." "I didn't want to worry the whole staff," Malik said quietly. "You were arrested, Malik, and you still won't put yourself first." She paced the room. "The office has been buzzing all morning. Everyone saw the video." Malik winced. "So it's everywhere." "Everywhere," she confirmed. "News channels picked it up. Bloggers. Local activists. And half the internet is arguing about it." Malik rubbed his temples. "I didn't want things to blow up like this." Aisha stopped pacing and lowered her voice. "Maybe you should go public." "No," Malik shook his head. "Absolutely not. You don't even know what I mean." "I won't turn this into a spectacle," he insisted. "If I reveal who I am now, people will say I'm flexing power. They'll say I'm using my success to paint myself as a victim. They'll twist it." Aisha sighed. "Malik, they're already twisting it." He looked away. Later that afternoon, Malik sat in the kitchen downstairs, his sanctuary, usually filled with warmth and chatter. Today it felt eerily quiet. A sous chef approached, hesitant. "Mr. Turner, Malik," she corrected gently. "We all saw the video. Are you okay?" He forced a tight smile. "I'm managing." She lowered her voice. "People are talking. Customers too. A lot of folks are supporting you. But some, they're saying ugly things. Online reviews. Messages. The usual." "Of course," Malik murmured. Another chef chimed in from across the counter. "You shouldn't have to hide who you are to protect us. If people knew the truth." "No," Malik said firmly. "The truth isn't protection. It's fuel. And right now, any spark can become a wildfire." The staff exchanged worried glances. A line cook whispered, "This isn't fair to him." Malik heard it, and it cut deeper because it was true. That evening, Malik walked home alone, hood pulled low. The city felt different now. Eyes on him, whispers trailing behind him like shadows. He wasn't imagining it. People recognized him from a video. A couple on the sidewalk slowed. "That's him," the woman murmured softly. Her partner frowned. "Poor guy. That cop was way out of line." Malik kept walking. At the next corner, two men leaned against a building scrolling through their phones. "Bro, look at this," one said. "The vendor guy? Guarantee he was faking the permit." "Yeah," the other laughed. He looked shady. Malik's chest tightened. He crossed the street to avoid hearing more. At home, he sank onto his bed and stared at the ceiling. He could feel the weight of everything pressing down. The public scrutiny, the helplessness, the violation of trust. He had built his business quietly, intentionally, believing that if he just kept his head down and did good work, he would be safe. But safety, he realized, wasn't earned. It was granted, and it could be taken. His phone buzzed again. A voice message from his aunt. "Baby, I saw the video," she said, voice trembling. "You don't deserve this. Call me when you can. I love you." Malik closed his eyes. Tears stung, but he inhaled deeply until they receded. Another buzz. A text from Daniel. "City councilwoman wants to talk to you. Says her son is one of your regular customers." Malik stared at the message. A new ripple, a new consequence, a new pressure. His reply came slowly. Not yet. A moment later, he added, please, not yet. He set the phone aside, letting the room fall into silence. But his mind refused to rest, because the world now knew a version of Malik Turner, but not the whole truth. And as the storm outside grew louder, Malik understood something deeply unsettling. This wasn't about a video anymore. It was about the fault lines beneath the city, and they were beginning to crack. Officer Grant Harlow sat in the precinct break room, scrolling through his phone. The video of the arrest had gone viral. Millions of views, thousands of comments, news headlines exploding across every platform. He slammed the phone onto the table. Ridiculous. Total nonsense. Sergeant Mills entered carrying a mug of coffee. You seen the numbers? He asked carefully. Haters online, Grant scoffed. What else is new? Mills pulled out a chair, but didn't sit. It's not just online. Internal Affairs is asking questions. Grant's jaw tightened. I always ask questions. Not like this, Mills said. Councilwoman Rivera called the chief this morning. Grant blinked. Why? She's got nothing to do with street vending. She does when her kid buys lunch from that vendor. Apparently loves a stew. Grant stared. You're kidding. Wish I was, Mills muttered. Grant, they want a statement. A statement about what? Grant snapped. The guy was shady. His documents looked fake. You didn't scan them, Mills replied quietly. Grant paused, irritation turning into something more brittle. I didn't need to. Mills finally sat, leaning forward. That's the problem. 2 hours later, Grant stood in the chief's office, arms crossed, frustration radiating off him. Chief Donovan removed his glasses and pinched the bridge of his nose. Grant, you put us in a difficult position. I did my job, Grant insisted. The guy was evasive. His setup looked questionable. You escalated unnecessarily, Donovan replied. Public optics are a nightmare, and the council is breathing down our necks. Grant let out a sharp breath. So now public opinion dictates police work? Public opinion, Donovan said evenly, reminds us who we serve. Grant paced. Sir, this is blown out of proportion. It's a vendor, a guy selling food. Donovan looked up sharply. A citizen, Grant, one who followed proper procedures, according to his lawyer. Grant waved a dismissive hand. Lawyers twist everything. Enough, Donovan snapped. IA will interview you this afternoon. Keep your answers clean. No commentary. Grant stiffened. So you're throwing me under the bus? Donovan's stare hardened. No, but I won't let you sink the department. Grant clenched his teeth. The chief rarely spoke with such coldness. Something was shifting against him when he stepped into the hallway. 2 younger officers were whispering. That's him, one murmured. The vendor guy. Man, I saw the video. He was way out of line. Grant stormed past him. If you got something to say it to my face. They froze. No, sir, one stammered. Grant walked on, pulse pounding with fury, and something dangerously close to fear. At lunch, he sat alone. His partner, Officer Tate, hesitated at the doorway before approaching. You good, man? Tate asked quietly. I'm fine. You don't look fine. Grant locked eyes with him. You gonna start judging me too? Tate exhaled. Look, I'm not your enemy. But this situation, it's bad. That vendor played victim, Grant spat. Maybe, Tate said, or maybe you went too far. Grant's expression twisted. You taking his side? I'm saying be careful, Tate murmured. This could get ugly. Grant shoved his chair back, so hard it scraped the floor. I don't need warnings. I did my job. Tate watched him storm out. He didn't follow. Meanwhile, across the city, momentum was building. Councilwoman Rivera stood in front of cameras, speaking passionately. We cannot allow abuse of power to go unchecked. What happened to Mr. Turner represents a larger pattern of intimidation faced by minority street vendors. News anchors repeated her words across multiple stations. Activists held signs. Community groups issued statements. Neighborhood associations demanded accountability. Grant watched the footage in disbelief as he sat in his patrol car. "They're making a martyr out of him," he muttered. The radio crackled. "Unit 7, return to precinct. IA ready for your interview." Grant gripped the steering wheel, knuckles whitening. "Copy." When he arrived, Officer Lang from Internal Affairs was waiting. Clipboard in hand, an expression unreadable. "Officer Harlow," Lang said, motioning toward the small interview room. "Please sit." Grant dropped into the chair, forced confidence in his voice. "Let's get this over with." Lang pressed record. "Walk us through the incident." Grant repeated the same story he'd been telling himself. Suspicious setup, evasive behavior, necessary caution. Lang listened quietly. Too quietly. When Grant finished, Lang folded his hands. "Did you skin the permit?" "I didn't need to." Lang wrote something down. Grant's jaw twitched. "What are you writing?" "Your statement." Grant leaned forward. "Look, I made a judgment call. That's what we do out there." "Judgment based on what?" Lang asked. "Experience," Grant shot back. Lang held his gaze. "Or bias." Grant's heart skipped. "Excuse me?" Multiple civilian complaints mentioned similar language. Lang said, "Patterns matter, Officer Harlow." "Those complaints were unfounded," Grant growled. Lang closed the file. "This investigation is ongoing. You are instructed to remain on administrative duty. No field assignments." Grant froze. "You're sidelining me?" "It's standard protocol." "This is a witch hunt," Grant snapped. Lang stood. "It's accountability." That evening, Grant returned home to find his wife watching the news. She muted the TV slowly. "Grant, what's happening at work?" He rubbed his forehead. "They're all turning on me." "Did you really ignore the vendor's permit?" she asked, voice trembling. "I told you it looked fake." "Did you check?" she pressed. Grant hesitated. "I didn't have to." She looked away. "Grant, this isn't good." "I'm the victim," he insisted. "I'm being targeted." "Or," she said gently, "you cross a line." Grant's face twisted with rage. He couldn't aim anywhere. "You don't understand." She took a breath. "Then help me understand." But he didn't answer. Instead, he sank into his chair, head in his hands. For the first time, he realized he was losing control of the narrative. And worse, people were no longer afraid to question him. The cracks were widening. And something inside him, something tightly coiled and dangerous, began to unravel. Malik stood in front of his food cart again. Same street, same stew simmering, same afternoon light. But nothing felt the same. People approached slowly today, eyes soft with recognition, sympathy, guilt. A few offered quiet encouragement. "Stay strong, brother." "We saw what happened." That cop was out of line. Malik nodded politely, forcing a smile he didn't feel. The praise didn't comfort him. It pressed against him like another weight. A teenager hesitated before ordering. "You okay, sir?" Malik stirred the pot. "I'm trying." The teen nodded, as if understanding something too big for his age. "It wasn't your fault." Malik's stirring paused. "Maybe, maybe not." Aisha arrived mid-afternoon, breathless from rushing. "Malik, you shouldn't be out here," she blurted. "After everything, you need rest. You need space." "I need normal," he replied. "This isn't normal," she countered. "People are filming you, watching you, waiting for you to break." "I'm not breaking," Malik said, though his voice trembled. Aisha stepped closer. "It's okay if you are. You don't have to carry this alone." Malik kept ladling stew. "I've been carrying things alone for years." Aisha softened. "Talk to me." He looked down at the ladle. "I used to think that if I worked hard enough, stayed quiet enough, followed every rule, the world would give me peace." Aisha didn't interrupt. "But yesterday proved something," he continued. "Peace isn't something this world gives freely. And justice isn't something it gives at all, not without a price." Aisha swallowed. "You're exhausted. Please come to the office. Just for today." Malik looked at the line forming again. "I can't leave." "Why not?" Because if I stop now, he whispered, I'll feel like he won. Aisha touched his arm gently. This isn't about winning or losing. This is about you. Your health. Your mind. Malik didn't answer. As the day dragged on, Malik caught movement across the street. A familiar police cruiser parked an angle. Officer Grant Harlow sat inside, watching him. Just watching. Malik's chest tightened. The ladle nearly slipped from his hand. A customer followed his gaze. Is that him? Malik nodded faintly. Grant lifted a coffee cup, took a slow sip, eyes never leaving Malik. A chilling message in silence. Aisha whispered, He's trying to intimidate you. No, Malik replied. He's succeeding. Grant didn't approach, didn't speak, didn't even pretend to patrol. He just watched. Minutes stretched into something suffocating. Finally, Grant started the engine and drove away. But the damage was done. Malik's hand shook so badly he burned himself on the pot lid. Ah! He recoiled, grabbing his wrist. Aisha rushed over. That's it. You're done for today. I'm fine, Malik insisted, breath uneven. You're shaking. No, he whispered, just tired. Aisha grabbed his shoulders. Malik, look at me. He lifted his eyes slowly. You're falling apart, she said gently, and you're pretending it's strength. The stew bubbled behind them, steam rising like breath from a wound. Malik whispered, People expect me to be strong. No, Aisha said, they expect you to survive. There's a difference. That evening, Malik returned home. The silence of his apartment felt hostile. He set his keys down, sat on the couch, and suddenly the entire day collapsed onto him. Anger, humiliation, fear, pressure. He leaned forward, elbows on knees, head in hands. His chest tightened. His breathing quickened. His thoughts spiraled. He's not done with me, Malik whispered into the empty room. He's not done. His phone buzzed, a message from Daniel. Important updates. Please call when you can. Don't ignore this. Another buzz. Aisha, I'm worried about you. Let me know you got home safely. Another from his aunt. I'm praying for you. Come over tonight. Malik silenced the phone. He didn't want voices, or updates, or prayers. He wanted nothing. He sank deeper into the couch, eyes burning. This shouldn't be happening, he whispered. Not again. Not anymore. But the walls didn't answer. Hours passed. The room darkened. Malik barely moved. His mind drifted to memories he tried to bury. Being followed in the grocery store as a teen, denied an apartment application despite perfect credit, pulled over just because. All the small cuts that built into scars. Why is it always me? He asked the darkness. But the question echoed, empty. Late that night, a knock broke the silence. Malik didn't respond. Another knock. Malik. Aisha's voice. I know you're there. I'm not leaving. He hesitated before unlocking the door. She stepped inside and saw his face, red eyes, trembling hands, exhaustion carved into every line. Oh, Malik, she whispered, her voice breaking. He tried to speak, but no words came, only a shuttered breath. Aisha moved closer. Sit, please. He sat. She sat beside him. After a long silence, she said softly, You don't have to pretend with me. Malik whispered, I feel like I'm drowning. She nodded, Because you're hurting, and because you've been hurting alone. Malik closed his eyes. Aisha continued, You're not just fighting a cop, you're fighting a system, a weight no one person should carry. Another tear slid down his cheek. She reached for his hand. Let us carry some of it with you. Malik's voice cracked. I don't know how. We'll figure it out, she whispered, one step at a time. Malik exhaled a long, shaky breath. Outside, traffic murmured. Inside, the room felt softer, warmer. Aisha gently squeezed his hand. Tomorrow we talk about what comes next. Malik nodded weakly. Not in strength, not in certainty, but in surrender to the truth. He couldn't keep surviving alone. Morning light filtered through Malik's apartment windows, soft and warm, but Malik didn't feel warmed by it. He sat at the kitchen table, wrapped in quiet exhaustion. Aisha sat across from him, a cup of tea between her palms. "You don't have to decide everything today," she said gently. "I know," Malik murmured, "but things are spiraling. The video, the comments. Grant watching me yesterday," he exhaled shakily. "I feel like the whole city is staring at me." "They are," Aisha admitted, "but not for the reasons you fear." Malik rubbed his temples. "What does that mean?" Aisha leaned forward. "People are rallying behind you. Community members, local businesses, even council members. They want accountability." Malik shook his head. "They want a symbol. I'm not a symbol. I'm just—" "No," she interrupted softly. "You're not just anything. And it's time the world knows that." He froze. "Aisha, no." She drew a deep breath. "You built Turner Kitchens. You built every restaurant, every menu, every community partnership. You did that. You employed 200 people. You're not just a vendor who was harassed. You're a business leader who was profiled and humiliated in public." Malik's jaw tightened. "That's exactly why I can't reveal it. They'll say I'm using power to manipulate the narrative." Aisha shook her head. "Or they'll see how wrong he was. How wrong all of this was." Malik looked away. Aisha continued gently. "There's a press conference this afternoon. Daniel arranged it to address the arrest. It's supposed to be simple. Clear your name, present the permit, let the facts speak for themselves." "And you want me to tell the world who I am?" Malik whispered. "I want you to stop hiding," she corrected. "Not for them. For you. Later. In Daniel's office." The tension crackled like static. Daniel spread documents across the desk. "The city is already scrambling. Internal Affairs is reviewing the case. Councilwoman Rivera is asking for an external audit. You'll have support today." Malik paced slowly. "Support only lasts until the next controversy." Daniel frowned. "Malik, what's really bothering you?" Malik paused. "I've worked so hard to stay out of the spotlight. I didn't want people to define me by my success. I wanted to be part of the community, not above it." Daniel nodded. "And you still can be. But hiding doesn't protect you. It only protects the people who hurt you." Malik stopped pacing. Daniel lowered his voice. "Do you want people to know the truth? Not for strategy. Not for optics. For you." Malik took a long breath. "I don't know." A knock interrupted them. Aisha stepped in, holding a folder. "It's time," she said softly. The press conference was set outside the city administrative building. Microphones lined the podium. Reporters gathered shoulder to shoulder. Curious citizens formed a circle around the crowd. Camera lenses glinted under the afternoon sun. Malik stood behind the podium, breath tight in his chest. Aisha and Daniel stayed behind him like anchors. The murmuring grew. "There he is." "That's the vendor." "No, he's the guy from the video." Malik cleared his throat. Daniel leaned in. "You can keep it simple. Just present your paperwork. That alone proves misconduct." Malik nodded and stepped forward. "My name is Malik Turner," he began. His voice shook, but he didn't hide it. "I was arrested last week for allegedly operating without a permit. Today, I want to show you the permit Officer Harlow refused to examine." He lifted the laminated document. Cameras flashed. A reporter called out, "Mr. Turner, did the officer give any reason for ignoring your paperwork?" Malik hesitated. His heart hammered. Aisha met his eyes behind the podium. "You're not alone. Say it." Malik inhaled deeply. "The reason was simple," he said. "He saw a black man selling food, and he assumed the worst." A rumble moved through the crowd. He continued, voice steadier. "This wasn't about paperwork. It was about perception. It was about power." Reporters scribbled frantically, but Malik wasn't done. "There's something else you should know," he said, hands trembling slightly. "Many of you have eaten at Turner Kitchens. Some of you probably support our scholarship programs or community meals. Some of you may even work at one of our locations." People leaned in. Malik exhaled. "I'm the founder and owner of Turner Kitchens." The crowd erupted. Gasps, whispers, shocked murmurs. A reporter nearly dropped his microphone. "You own the whole company?" Malik nodded. Yes. Another reporter pushed forward. Why were you selling food from a cart if you own a restaurant group? Malik met his gaze. Because I love the work. Because I want to stay connected to community that shaped me. And because success doesn't make me immune to discrimination. Silence fell over the crowd. A heavy, electric silence. Aisha swallowed tears behind him. Daniel watched the audience transform, eyes widening, expression softening, anger sharpening into focus. Malik continued, voice low but powerful. Officer Harlow didn't know who I was. He didn't care. To him, I was someone he could push, someone he could dismiss, someone he could humiliate. He paused, but he was wrong. One reporter called out, "What do you want now? Revenge? Compensation?" Malik shook his head. "I want accountability. I want fairness. I want the next vendor, someone without lawyers, without a platform, to be safe." The crowd erupted into applause. Actual applause. Malik's eyes glistened. He stepped back from the podium. Aisha hugged him tightly. "You did it," she whispered. Daniel placed a hand on his shoulder. "The city won't be the same after today." Malik exhaled shakily. He wasn't sure if he felt victorious or exposed, strong or vulnerable, relieved or terrified, maybe all of it at once. But one thing was clear. The truth was no longer hidden, and nothing would be the same again. Officer Grant Harlow sat alone in the precinct locker room, elbows on his knees, staring at the floor. His phone buzzed every few seconds, messages, alerts, forwarded articles. But he ignored them. He already knew what they said. The world was turning against him. The locker room door creaked open. Officer Tate stepped inside, cautiously. "You see the press conference?" Tate asked. Grant didn't look up. "Yeah, that was big news, man." Grant clenched his fists. He played everyone. Tate hesitated. "Or maybe you underestimated him." Grant's head snapped up. "You taking a side now, too?" "No," Tate said quickly. "But Grant, he owns a restaurant group. He's not some random guy. His story has weight." Grant slammed a fist into the locker. "I don't care what he owns." He mouthed off. He played victim. And now everyone's twisting this into a crusade. Tate stepped back slightly. "This is more than a PR issue. IA's digging into your record." "My record is fine," Grant growled. Tate's silence said otherwise. Meanwhile, in the Internal Affairs Division, Officer Lang reviewed a growing stack of complaints against Grant. Some were old, some had been dismissed. But now, with a new video under scrutiny, patterns emerged. Excessive stops, disproportionate citations, language coded enough to skate by, until it wasn't. Lang murmured, "This is a mess." His supervisor nodded grimly. "Call him in." Again. When Grant entered IA's office, he carried himself with forced confidence. Lang gestured to a chair. "Officer Harlow, sit." Grant dropped into the seat. "More questions?" "Yes," Lang replied, pulling out several files. Complaints resurfaced. New statements from citizens who say you intimidated them during routine stops. Grant scoffed. "People lie. They want payouts." "Multiple citizens?" Lang asked, all sharing similar details. Grant leaned back. "Look, some neighborhoods get more attention. That's not bias, that's policing." Lang flipped open one file. "You stopped a college student for looking suspicious. Another for walking too fast. A delivery driver for parking attitude." Grant waved a hand dismissively. "They fit descriptions." Lang's eyes hardened. "And the vendor? Did he fit a description too?" Grant stiffened. "He was being evasive." "He showed you his permit." "I didn't believe it." "You didn't check it." Grant's voice rose. "I didn't have to." Lang closed the file. "We've heard enough, Officer Harlow. You're relieved of duty, effective immediately, pending the outcome of administrative charges." Grant froze. The room felt suddenly colder. "You can't do that," he whispered. "We can," Lang replied. "And we have." Outside, Grant stormed toward the parking lot, face flushed with fury. Tate followed a few steps behind. "Grant, wait," Tate called. Grant spun. Don't try to comfort me. I'm not, Tate said gently. I'm trying to help you understand how serious this is. Grant's voice cracked. I gave this department 20 years. And now they're looking at the whole 20, Tate replied. Grant shook his head, disbelief breaking into anger. The city hates cops. This is political. That vendor, he's turning everyone against me. Tate swallowed. Grant, he didn't turn anyone. You did. Grant stared at him in stunned silence. Tate stepped forward. Maybe this is a chance to look at yourself, at the way you treat people. Grant barked a bitter laugh. I treat people how they deserve. Tate's expression fell. That's the problem. Across town, City Hall buzzed with energy. Councilwoman Rivera reviewed updates with her team. Internal Affairs recommends full suspension. Her aide reported. Possibility of termination. And criminal charges? Rivera asked. Still being evaluated. Rivera sighed. I want transparency. I want the community to see that misconduct has consequences. Her aide nodded. People are rallying around Mr. Turner. They trust him. As they should, Rivera replied. He showed dignity under pressure. Meanwhile, Malik sat with Daniel and Aisha in his office at Turner Kitchen's headquarters. Daniel answered a call, then hung up. It's official, he said. IA removed Harlow from field duty. Could be permanent. Malik let out a slow breath. I didn't want this to become vengeance. Aisha touched his arm. This isn't vengeance. It's accountability. Malik looked uncertain. Maybe, but I keep thinking, how many people did he hurt before me? How many didn't have anyone to defend them? Daniel nodded solemnly. Too many. That's why your case matters. Malik's eyes dimmed. It shouldn't take someone with resources to make the system pay attention. Aisha met his gaze. That's exactly why you're needed. Not as a symbol. As someone who understands. Malik didn't respond, but something in his expression softened. Back in his car, Grant sat motionless, staring at his reflection in the rear-view mirror. His uniform felt heavier than usual. His badge glinted in the sunlight, cold, impersonal. He touched it slowly. A symbol he once believed made him untouchable. Now it felt like a weight dragging him down. His phone vibrated, a voicemail from his wife. Grant, I saw the news. Call me, please. He didn't call. He threw the phone onto the passenger seat. At sunset, protesters gathered outside the precinct. Small but steady. They held signs. Justice for Malik and biased policing accountability now. Grant watched through the blinds of a second-floor window. No, he whispered. This isn't happening. But it was, and it wasn't slowing down. Later that night, he met with his union representative, Officer Briggs. Briggs rubbed his temples. Grant, they've pulled your record apart. There's no easy way out. I followed protocol, Grant insisted. Briggs shook his head. Protocol doesn't protect patterns. Grant slammed the table. I'm being destroyed over a vendor. Briggs lowered his voice. You're being held accountable. There's a difference. Grant's anger faltered. For a moment, he looked small. What do I do now? He asked quietly. Briggs sighed. You cooperate, and hope repercussions stop at termination. Grant's eyes widened. Termination? It's on the table. Grant slumped back, breath shaking. The cracks in his world weren't just forming. They were widening into a collapse. And for the first time, he realized he might not survive the fall. The morning after the internal announcement of Grant's suspension, the city felt strangely quiet to Malik, as if holding its breath, waiting for what he would do next. Turner Kitchen's headquarters had reporters waiting outside. Activists had emailed invitations. Community leaders requested meetings. Malik sat in his office, staring at his hands. They no longer trembled. But they didn't feel steady either. Aisha entered softly. You ready? For what? Malik murmured. For the next chapter, she said. Whatever you choose it to be. Malik leaned back. I don't even know what I want anymore. Justice happened, at least partly, but I still feel heavy. That's normal, Aisha replied. Justice doesn't erase pain. It just makes space for healing. He nodded, swallowing a lump in his throat. Daniel stepped in. The city reached out. They're offering a settlement, financial compensation, and a formal apology. A public one. Malik blinked. A settlement? Yes, Daniel said. It's substantial. They want to show accountability. They know the optics matter. Malik frowned. I'm not interested in money. Daniel smiled faintly. Not everything is about money, but sometimes money can build things that matter. Aisha stepped closer. You could use it to protect others. Street vendors, small business owners, people who don't have you or Daniel to defend them. Malik's chest tightened. A fund. Aisha nodded. A foundation. Something lasting. It's your call, Daniel added. No pressure. Malik exhaled slowly. Maybe that's the right path. Later that afternoon, Malik walked through the bustling kitchen of his flagship restaurant. Pots clanged, pans sizzled, voices rose in laughter and stress. This place, these people, reminded him why he started all of this. A young cook approached nervously. Mr. Turner, we're all really proud of you. Malik smiled softly. Thank you, but I'm not done yet. We know, she said, eyes shining, and we're with you. As she walked away, Malik felt something shift inside him, something quiet and steady. Purpose. Not anger, not fear, not pressure. Purpose. That evening, Malik walked to the same street corner where everything began. The lamppost flickered on. Cars rolled past lazily. His food cart sat there just as before, stainless steel polished, pots shimmering under the glow. He set his apron on, lit the burner, and stirred the stew. The smell rose to the night air, warm, comforting, familiar. People started forming a line. One woman said softly, I'm glad you're back. Another man added, took courage to stand up like you did. Malik nodded but didn't soak in the praise. He wasn't here to be celebrated. He was here to reconnect. A child approached, holding a dollar bill tightly. Mister, is the stew still the same? Malik knelt. Always. The child grinned. A voice behind him said, you could be sitting in a boardroom, yet here you are. Malik turned. It was Councilwoman Rivera. He smiled. I'm not above this work. You never were, she said warmly. That's what makes your message powerful. Malik looked out over the crowd. People need more than a message. They need change. Rivera nodded. And you're in a position to make that change happen. Malik hesitated. Maybe, but I want institutional change, not just symbolic victories. Then we'll work together, Rivera said. Street vendor rights, police training reforms, clearer protections. Malik exhaled. I'd like that. Across town, Grant Harlow sat at his kitchen table, staring blankly at the termination letter delivered hours earlier. His wife moved quietly around the room, avoiding eye contact. He finally spoke. They're really firing me. She paused. Grant, they had to. I was good at my job. Were you? She whispered. Grant swallowed. I made decisions. Tough decisions. You hurt people, she said softly, and you justified it every time. Grant's voice cracked. I didn't mean to. But you did, she said, tears forming. And now things are falling apart. Grant lowered his head into his hands. The badge he once believed defined him now felt like a curse he had written himself. He whispered, What am I supposed to do now? His wife didn't answer. Some lessons come too late. Some consequences can't be undone. Back on the street corner, Aisha approached Malik as the dinner rush wound down. You okay? She asked. Malik ladled stew into a cup. I think, for the first time since it happened, I am. Aisha smiled. Good, because we have work to do. He laughed softly. We always have work to do. She handed him a folder. Draft proposal for the Turner Vendor Protection Fund. Malik raised an eyebrow. You wrote this already? Of course, she said. I knew you'd say yes. He opened the folder, scanning the first page. Legal protections, microgrants, emergency legal coverage, community education. This is beautiful, Malik whispered. It's necessary, she replied. Malik nodded. Let's make it real. Aisha grinned. Already knew you'd say that. As the final customers left, Malik shut off the burner and leaned against the cart. The night was cool, quiet. A man passing by paused and said, "You could have walked away from this whole mess, but you didn't. You turned it into something bigger." Malik thought for a moment. Walking away would have been easy, but easy doesn't change anything. The man nodded and continued on. Malik looked up at the sky, deep blue, dotted with faint stars. His chest felt lighter than it had in weeks. He whispered, "This is just a beginning, not a beginning of battle, not a beginning of revenge, a beginning of responsibility, a beginning of healing, a beginning of community, a beginning of choosing what justice should look like, not punishment alone, but protection, not anger alone, but action." Malik packed up his cart slowly, deliberately. Tomorrow, the real work would begin, and he was ready.